Welcome to Whispers and Wild Hearts, romance stories for hearts that feel deeply and dream often. Tonight's story is She Only Meant to Lurk, a gentle tale of quiet hope, hesitant hearts, and the kind of message that changes everything, as narrated by me, Tim Coy. She wasn't looking for anything, she just wanted to lurk, but one message changed that.
There was a time when Alana believed in soulmates. Not in the storybook kind, but the quieter version. The person who just gets you, who stays when things get quiet, who listens like it matters. But belief softens when life gets loud, when years pass, when people leave, when love starts to feel like a book left unfinished on a shelf you no longer look at. And Alana had stopped looking. She told herself she was content. Work was steady. Friends checked in. She had a good hair routine and a plant she hadn't killed yet. But every now and then, in the hollow between a Tuesday night and a glass of wine, that soft ache would return. Not for someone, not for fireworks, just for connection. That's when her best friend dared her. 7 days, Claire said. Just 1 week on the app. You don't even have to talk to anyone. Just lurk. Be nosy. Scroll. Alana rolled her eyes. Claire grinned. You used to love people watching. Now you get to do it without leaving your flat. It wasn't pressure. It was a dare. And dares had always been their thing. So later that night, rain tapping gently at the windows, Alana poured herself a second glass of wine, sat cross-legged on the couch, and opened her laptop. She didn't overthink it. No filters, no perfectly lit selfies, just a photo Claire had taken last autumn. Wind in her hair, scarf halfway up her neck, eyes uncertain, but honest. For her profile bio, she just typed one line. Just here to lurk. She clicked save, closed the laptop, and told herself she felt nothing. But she didn't sleep well that night. The next morning, she opened the app again, just for a moment. The scroll was like a hall of mirrors, smiles too wide, captions too eager, energy too polished. Swipe left, left, left. She was about to close it when she stopped. His photo wasn't filtered, not perfectly posed. He was crouching in a park beside a scruffy golden retriever, laughing at something off camera. Candid, warm, grounded. His bio read, builder, decent cook. Once got stuck in a lift for 2 hours and made friends with everyone. Not great at small talk, but I show up. She read it twice. Then again. It didn't sparkle. It settled. Like a stone in a chest that made everything suddenly quiet. She didn't swipe right. She closed the app again and tried to go about her day. But Cal's photo kept appearing in her mind, not because of his face, because of what he felt like. Uncomplicated, genuine, the kind of man who didn't try to sell himself, just showed up. That night she reopened the app and saw that he'd already liked her. Her heart jumped, then steadied. She'd hovered over the green heart and clicked. A message came through just minutes later. Didn't think just here to lurk would work on me, but here I am. She stared at it. It was funny, not too much, just honest. She didn't reply, not that night, not the next morning. The next evening she sat on a couch, phone in hand, typed, deleted, rewrote, then sent. Didn't think not great at small talk would either, and yet here I am. That's how it began. They didn't chat all day, just a few messages between moments, nothing urgent, no pressure. He told her about Charlie, the dog, about rebuilding his grandfather's deck, about the coriander he grew for his neighbour even though he hated it. He asked questions, good ones, not deep, but thoughtful. He didn't flirt, he didn't push, he just made. 3 days passed like that. Then one night she wrote something a little braver. You're either really consistent or a very patient scammer? He replied, "Same back at you, still trying to figure out if you're a poet hiding as a lurker." Her heart stuttered, because that hit a little closer than it should have. Alana used to write poems, small, tight-lit things that lived in notebooks tucked between novels and bills. She hadn't written in months, maybe years, but that night she opened her notes app, typed something, deleted it, tried again, and what came out surprised her. "I've built walls out of soft things like apologies and silence and looking away, but you, somehow, make me want to open the windows again." She didn't mean to send it, but she did, and as soon as she did, her stomach twisted. She nearly threw her phone across the room. What had she done? Too much, too soon, too honest. She stared at the screen. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then nothing. Minutes passed. Then her phone lit up. "That's the most beautiful thing anyone's ever sent me. Can I read it back to you sometime, when it's raining and I'm holding you?" She read it twice, then a third time. Then she set her phone down on the table, closed her eyes, and just sat there, feeling something she hadn't felt in years: anticipation. She didn't reply right away, not because she didn't know what to say, but because she didn't want to break the moment. Alana just sat there, fingers resting lightly on her phone, heart strangely full. It had been so long since words felt like this. The next day passed in a kind of soft blur. She moved through meetings, smiled when she needed to, even made lunch. But Cal was in the back of her mind like a song without lyrics. Not loud, just there, persistent, comforting. That night she opened the app. "I've read your poem 5 times, each time slower than the last." She smiled, typed back, "It wasn't meant to be a poem." That's why it worked. They messaged for hours, longer than before. This time it wasn't just polite curiosity, it was flow, the kind of conversation that folds time, where a message makes you grin before you've even opened it. She learned he didn't like olives, that he once cried during Paddington 2, that he's not afraid of dogs but is afraid of what his mum thinks of his dates. He learned she plays piano when no one's home, that she used to climb trees as a kid, that she hates Sunday afternoons because they feel like endings. At one point she said, "You know, I haven't actually heard your voice yet." A moment passed, then her phone buzzed. A voice message. Her thumb hovered, pressed play. "Hey Alana, you've got me smiling at my phone like a teenage boy, which is slightly ridiculous. But I'm not deleting this because I want you to hear that I mean it. You make the air feel lighter, and I haven't even met you." Her chest tightened, not with fear, but something quieter, hopeful, unsteady, real. She closed her eyes and listened again. His voice was exactly what she didn't know she was waiting for. She recorded a reply, took 3 tries, finally landed on, "You sound like someone who reads out loud without embarrassment. That's rare. Also, Paddington 2? Really?" He responded with a laughing emoji, then another voice note. They traded them back and forth like secrets, short thoughts, confessions, silly questions. She hadn't talked like this in, she couldn't remember. It wasn't about falling in love, not yet. It was about being seen and still being held in the quiet of it. Later, as she was brushing her teeth, her phone lit up again. "Would it be weird if I called you sometime? I'd like to hear you smile." She stared at the message, toothbrush in hand, heart pacing. She typed back, "Not weird, but not tonight. Tomorrow, maybe?" And just before she set her phone down, one last message came through. "Tomorrow sounds like something to look forward to." Alana didn't sleep much that night, not because she was nervous. Not exactly. It was more like her mind wouldn't stop humming, like something had shifted in the architecture of her evening silence, and now it echoed differently. She lay in bed with one arm across her eyes, the other tracing slow circles on her pillow, thinking of his voice. Not smooth, but sure, like gravel underfoot on a quiet path, grounding, honest, and impossible not to notice. She liked that he didn't try too hard, that his pauses were real, that his messages came when they felt right, not because he was trying to keep her attention. At 7:52 the next morning her phone buzzed. "Morning, I hope you dreamt of something strange but beautiful." She smiled, still half asleep. She typed, "I dreamt I was playing chess with a goat in a cafe made of books. So, success?" His reply came back with a laughing emoji, and "That's at least a solid 7 on the surreal dream scale. Still up for a call later?" Alana paused, then typed, "Yes, but I'm going to need to overthink it for several hours first. Say 8 p.m? The day passed in fragments. Emails, calls, groceries, laundry, but through it all, a quiet current of anticipation ran just under her skin. Not anxiety, but the kind of nerves that feel close to joy. At 7:42 that evening, she stood in the bathroom, checking her reflection. Not because she expected him to see her, but because she needed to feel like she'd shown up for something, even if it was just with herself. She put on the soft jumper she always wore when she needed grounding, lit a candle, sat by the window, and waited. It was just after 8 p.m. Her phone lit up, incoming call. She took a deep breath, hit accept. "Hey." His voice was the same, but warmer, fuller, closer. She smiled before she spoke. "Hey." For a moment, there was only the sound of breathing, not awkward, just quiet, intentional. So he said, "What does one wear for a voice call with a stranger on a Thursday evening?" "Apparently an oversized jumper and a nervous heart," she replied. He laughed. "Perfect. I went with pajama pants and the confidence of someone talking to a woman way out of his league." She raised an eyebrow, though he couldn't see it. "Do you say things like that often?" "Only when they're true." They talked for 49 minutes about nothing and everything. Childhood snacks, favourite songs, the weird smell of hardware stores, why sadness feels heavier at night. He told her his mum used to read aloud to him when he couldn't sleep. She confessed she still talks to her plants. They didn't flirt, they didn't pry. They just let each other be. At one point he said, "You sound like someone who feels too much and pretends she doesn't." Her voice caught. "That's a bit dangerous to say on a first call." "I know, but I meant it kindly." "I know." They ended the call softly, not with promises, just a pause, a breath, a sense that they'd opened something they both didn't want to close. After she hung up, Alana sat there for a long time, watching the candle flicker. Her heart didn't race, it settled, like it had been waiting to land somewhere for a while now. The next morning, everything felt a little louder. Not the world, just inside her. Alana moved through her usual rhythm, kettle on, email open, background radio whispering someone else's day, but something was different. She couldn't stop thinking about the way he said her name, like it belonged to him, like it was a question he was still answering. She caught herself smiling at her phone, twice. It was stupid and sweet. She didn't stop. "So, I've been wondering, do you eat cereal dry out of the box, or are you a functioning adult?" She replied, "Depends on the cereal and the kind of day I've had." "Fair. You strike me as someone who buys granola with the intention of health, but secretly wishes it was chocolate milkshake." She grinned. That night she typed something and deleted it, typed again, paused, then sent it. "You still up?" 3 dots. Then, "Yeah, couldn't sleep." He called her. No lead-in, no hesitation. Just rang, like he knew she needed him to. She answered without thinking. "Hey, hey." Neither of them spoke for a few seconds. There was something in the quiet that didn't need filling. It felt mutual, like they both knew they weren't saying something and were okay with that. "You all right?" he asked. "Yeah, just a long day." "Want to talk about it?" "Not really." "Want to not talk about it with someone?" "Yeah, that would be nice." She left the phone on speaker, turned off her lamp, curled into the blankets. They just breathed. Every now and then he'd say something, a quiet thought, a half joke. Nothing important, everything important. At one point she whispered, "I forgot what this felt like." He waited. What felt like?" "Being able to just exist near someone." He didn't rush to respond, then softly, "Yeah, me too." There was a pause, not heavy, just full. "I feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop," she said finally. "Because this feels good?" "Because I don't trust good anymore." "That's all right," he said. "You don't just have to trust it yet. Just don't delete it." She didn't know what to say, so she said nothing, and he didn't try to fill it. That might have been what she liked most about him. They stayed on the line, not saying much, not needing to. The call ended at 12:42 a.m. No goodbye, just quiet. And a message from him 2 minutes later. "Still here, just letting you sleep." She stared at the screen, and for a moment she wasn't sure what she needed more, to keep going or to disappear before it got too real. She put the phone down, turned off the screen, and lay there, eyes open, asking a question she didn't yet have the words for. Thanks for listening. A moment shared is never wasted. If her story moved you, I hope you'll join me again next week to see where this quiet connection leads.